Have you ever noticed what happens after everyone else goes to sleep? The house gets quieter, your phone suddenly feels less important, and then something strange begins. Ideas start appearing out of nowhere. You suddenly want to write that story you've been thinking about for years. Start that business. Learn a new skill. Send the message you've been rewriting in your head. It's almost as if a different version of you wakes up after midnight. A version that's more creative, more honest, more alive. But then, morning comes. The alarm goes off. You go back to work, back to your routine. And somehow, those brilliant ideas from last night don't feel as powerful anymore. You tell yourself you'll think about them later. But later never comes. So what actually changes? Is your brain secretly smarter at night? Or is something much deeper happening? The answer isn't what most people think. Because late-night creativity isn't really about becoming a different person. It's about becoming less distracted from the person you've been all along. Think about your average day. Notifications, deadlines, conversations, emails, traffic, expectations. Every hour, your attention is pulled in 100 different directions. Your mind spends most of the day reacting instead of creating. It's like trying to hear someone whisper while standing in the middle of a crowded city. The voice is there. You just can't hear it. Then night arrives. The world slowly turns down its volume. There are fewer messages, fewer responsibilities demanding your attention. For the first time all day, your mind finally has room to wander. And that's when thoughts you've been pushing aside quietly return. Not because they were created at night, because they finally had the chance to be heard. Pause for a second. When was the last time you sat alone without scrolling, without music, without rushing to the next task? For many people, that moment doesn't happen until midnight. And that's exactly why nighttime feels different. But there's another reason this feeling becomes so powerful. During the day, your mind is busy asking practical questions. What needs to be finished? What should I do next? What if I fail? At night, those questions begin to fade. Your inner critic gets quieter, not because it disappears, but because it's exhausted. After an entire day of making decisions, judging yourself, and worrying about everything, your mental guard starts to relax. You stop filtering every idea before it even exists. That's why impossible dreams suddenly feel possible. You imagine moving to another country, starting over, writing a book, changing careers, calling someone you've been too afraid to talk to. For a few quiet moments, your mind allows curiosity to speak before fear interrupts. And curiosity has always been the birthplace of creativity. Think about children. They create without asking whether they're good enough. They imagine entire worlds because they haven't learned to censor every thought. As adults, we often lose that freedom. Every idea is immediately judged. Every dream is cross-examined. What if it doesn't work? What will people think? Late at night, that mental filter becomes just a little weaker. Not enough to disappear, just enough for your real thoughts to slip through. Here's the part almost nobody talks about. The night doesn't only make you more creative, it makes you more emotionally honest. Have you noticed how questions you've ignored all day suddenly become impossible to avoid? Am I actually happy? Why do I still miss that person? Is this really the life I wanted? These aren't new questions. They've been waiting quietly beneath the noise all along. The silence simply gives them permission to speak. And sometimes, that's uncomfortable. Because creativity and honesty often arrive together. The same mind that imagines a better future also notices what's missing in the present. That's why midnight can feel both beautiful and painfully emotional. But then morning arrives. The responsibilities return. The noise comes back. Your inbox fills up. The meetings begin. Your survival brain takes over again. And suddenly, the dream you believed in at 1 a.m. feels unrealistic at 9 a.m. Not because it was foolish, because reality became louder than possibility. Here's something worth reflecting on. Maybe your late-night self isn't more imaginative than your daytime self. Maybe your daytime self is simply carrying too much noise to hear those thoughts. The goal isn't to live only at night. The goal is to create moments during the day where your mind can become just as quiet. Because your best ideas don't belong to midnight. They belong to you. Midnight is simply the moment when the world finally steps aside long enough for you to notice them. So the next time you feel strangely creative after everyone else has gone to sleep, don't dismiss it as just another late night mood. Listen carefully, because beneath the silence, your mind might finally be telling you something it's been trying to say all day.